So hello everyone, welcome to this another video of Scale Up India. I'm Abhishek Verma and you are watching the Hibernate series. Now since this is going to be the very first video of 2024, so first of all let me wish you a very happy new year. So directly let's get started with a new video of the Hibernate series. And in this video we are going to discuss about a new topic which is one-to-one mapping. So without wasting any more time, let's directly get started with the coding part. So first of all, we'll go here in this IDE. Now here, let me just go for this demo 8. And I don't think so now you need me here. So let me just change the screen once. So now it's fine. And hence, I guess now you will be having a better screen area instead of just watching me. So here we'll just first of all go to this entity class. And here it is. That is the owner table. Now you know that in this owner class we are having so many fields available, but the topic which I'm saying you is like one-to-one mapping. Now in order to have a one-to-one mapping, the very first thing which we need to do is that we need to have two different class. So what we will do is we are going to divide this class in two different parts. We know that here we are having the variables related to the owner also, as well as we are having variables related to the pet also. So from now onwards, what we will do is that for the pet related variables, we are going to have a separate class. And for the owner related variables, we are going to have a separate class. And then between the owner and a pet, first of all, we'll try to have a one-to-one relationship. So we'll just assume that a single owner can have a single pet only. And there can't be any other relationship as of now. So for this, what we need to do is that first of all we need to divide this class in two parts. And being a little lazy, what I'll do is that instead of just creating a whole new class, I'll try to copy paste it here. So let me just call it as my pet class. So there it goes. And here now I'm having a pet class also. So now I got two classes, one is owner, one is pet. Now first of all, in the pet class, let's go to our pet class and see that what are the things which we can change. Now one important thing to be noted here is that since we are going to have two different classes here, so there should be two different tables also in the database. And hence, instead of calling it as the owner table, let's try to call it as the pet table. I mean, that was the number one issue which we were having in the ORM, if you remember, that here we were having, let's say, multiple classes, but in the database we used to go with a single table. So instead of it, let's try to have one table per class. So this is the way we have done, and yeah, this looks good. So for the pet, obviously we need an ID, but we don't need this. So what I'll do is I'll remove all these extra things which were related to the owner. So let me just remove them, and now it looks something like this. Now in the pet table, the very first thing which I need is the ID. Now you also know that if ID variable is there in the pet, then it should be a pet ID only. Then there doesn't means anything extra by calling it as a pet ID. I mean, already there it is, it's already there in the pet table. So let's simply call it as an ID. And for this ID, I want to make it as a primary key. Hence I'm using @ID. Again, I wish to go with the generated value. And as I mentioned you in my last video, that from now onwards, we are going with this identity strategy only in all our upcoming demos, because this suits as per our requirement. If you wish to go with some other strategy, then that is also fine. So let's go for this one. Now, do we need this @ column? I don't think so. We need this. Let's move for the next one. Now here for the name. Now again, all of us knows it is a pet name only. So let's just call it as name. That's going to be a simple one. Now if it is name, we don't need anything like this. I mean, what will you write here? You'll just say name. So already it is name here. So this is also not needed. Now I want that it should not be nullable. So hence I'm calling it as nullable false. Now for the date of birth. So again the same rule applies here also, and let's call it as birth date. And here I want to call it as date of birth. So it's a different name. So let's go by this name. Yeah. Now for the next one, again the rule is simple. I wish to just call it as gender, and here also I don't think so I need anything extra. Yeah, so again this looks fine to me. And for this again it seems to be just a type, not anything like pet type. So let me make this also as simple. So now I guess this looks simple to us. Just an ID, a name, a birth date, a gender, and a type. Now if you still wish that no, you want to have those names like pet gender, pet type, that is your choice. But my point is that in case, like now it is very much clear that if there is a variable in pet, then it should be related to that only. So there is no need to go by the big names. Now let's try to remove all these extra things, and what we will do is we'll try to recreate all these. Now for ID, I know that ID will be setted automatically. It will be auto generated, so I don't need a setter method. I just need a getter method. But for all others, I need both setters and the getters. So let me just go here and say I need it for the birth date, I need it for gender, name, as well as type, not for the ID. Yeah. So let me just call it here something like this. And I also need a toString method so that I can always check my data. So here it is ID, name, and I want all these things. So let me just write it like this. Now this looks good to me. So it looks something like this, a pet, and then for the pet we are going to have this particular data. So now this class is ready for us. Now let's move on to the owner class here. Now with the owner class, let's start from the top again. So we need this ID, we need this first name, last name, gender, city, state, mobile number, email ID, and we need all these things. Now the next thing is that do we need the pet ID? So as of now, let's say we don't need this pet ID. So let's remove this. Do we need a pet name? Obviously we don't need anything related to pet. So let me remove them altogether here. Now again this is done, and here also let me just do the same thing. So what I will be doing is that I'll remove all the extra getters and setters, which are like, okay, I just need to remove all this. I mean the top ones I can still keep with me, so I have removed them from here. And here also as of now let me remove the toString method. We'll provide it again whenever we need this. So this is how it looks like, and on the top we don't need that local date, so let me just say Ctrl Shift O, and now this looks good to me. Again all the required things are only available here. Now the point is that if we need a one-to-one mapping, so that means I want a relation between my owner and a pet. So how would you like to say? That depends on completely your requirement. So would you like to say the pet is having an owner, or would you like to say the owner is having the pet? So the first of all you need to understand which is going to be your source entity. Source here we can say the owner entity here. Yeah, I mean the one who is going to own the whole relationship. And then which one is going to be your target entity, whatever is the material we are having here, or whatever the other object we are going to have here, or we can even call it as a subject which we are going to have here. So I'll say that, I mean, which one looks more better? You can tell me. Owner is having a pet or pet is having an owner? So I guess the more better one is owner is having a pet. So owner has a pet. This sounds much more better here. So for this what we will do is that here I'll just write like this, private, and then I'll say pet, and again I'll just call it as pet here, because we are having a pet class and directly I want to refer to that particular pet. I don't want to refer any direct values as such, so I just want to refer it like this. Then for this pet also we should have a getter and setter, so let me just quickly add it for this. So again I'll go here, I'll say generate getters and setters only for this pet, and I'll say generate. So that looks fine. Also I want a toString method now with this pet, so let me just say toString. I want all the fields, so let me say generate. Yeah, so again this looks good to me. Again everything is available here, but the question is that now what do you think? How will this pet be saved in the table? Like in table, what is going to be the structure? For this ID, you know, there is going to be a column. and the data type of that column is going to be something like integer. For first name, last name, gender, city, state, mobile number, email ID, it's a string here. So there we are going to have something like a varchar. But how your table is going to save this pet? That is the question. Yeah, because directly an object cannot be saved in the column. You will say that okay, for the pet there is a different table. I agree. For the pet there is a different table, but how can we make a relationship between these two tables? So if you know something related to database in this, then you can tell me. Otherwise, the answer is that here we need to have a foreign key kind of relationship. So in the table, we will be having a foreign key here. So again, the question comes up, where should be that foreign key, or where should be that particular foreign column? It should be available in the pet table or the owner table. So again, that depends as per your scenario here. So here we are saying owner is having a pet. So from the owner table, we want to make a relation to the pet table. So for this, in the owner table itself, we should be having a foreign key available with us. That should be a foreign column. So I hope till now we are clear. Then if that is clear, let's try to make the relationship here as a one-to-one relationship. Now for this, the very first thing which I would like to say here, that I want to go for something like one-to-one mapping. So I'll say 1 to 1. So yeah, so it is showing me one to many also, but as of now in today's video we'll go for one to one. Now if your question is that are we not going to touch one to many, the answer is obviously no. We are going to touch one to many, but not in this video. For that there is going to be a separate video, and before that also I want to show you a few more different topics. So the target of this video is only a simple one-to-one mapping. So one directional one-to-one mapping. So here I have mentioned it as one-to-one mapping here. This looks good to me. Now after this we want to say that there should be that particular column also. Now for the normal ones, if you see, we say @ column, but this is not a normal column. This is going to contain your foreign key. So here instead of saying @ column, what we are going to say here is that it is going to be @join column, something like this. And again everything is coming from Jakarta, that is your JPA. So your join column looks like this. Now the question comes up is, what is going to be the name of your join column? So here, if you remember that for the normal ones, whenever if let's say I just write like this, city. So the name of my column is going to be city. If I say email ID, it is going to be email ID. But whenever I wish to rename, I can write it like this, email_ID. So same way, we should be having some parameters here also. So let's see what can be those parameters. So we'll go here to this join column. So I'll just say control and click. And here we are in the join column. So that is going to be the very best part of this video series, that in other videos, if you see, they will directly tell you that, okay, this is required, that is required. These 3 or 4 arguments are required. But in our video, we are going to discuss each and every parameter in detail. Why do we need that particular parameter? So that at the runtime, when you are working in a particular project, you can on your own decide whether you need that particular parameter or not. For me also, it is going to be very easy that I can just make a short video by saying that, okay, now it is one-to-one mapping and the things are done. But the need that why I'm showing all this in detail is that again and again, you don't need to come to this video. Once you have watched this, you will get a complete idea that which particular parameter you need in which particular kind of project. So let's check out here. So here, the very first one is the name. So this is an argument which we need here. So this name is again something similar like this kind of name. Whatever the name you want to give to this particular foreign key column here. Now here it says that if you are not going to provide the name, then by default also they are thinking of a particular name, and how they will choose is they will pick the other entity name, the referencing entity name. So for us it is going to be pet, and then they are going to be take the primary column name. So here the primary column name was ID, so they will try to call it as something like pet_ID. So from here they will take pet, then underscore, and then ID. but then we are not sure in which kind of, are they going to take uppercase or lowercase, and you know that we want everything in the lowercase. So what I'll do is I'll write this on my own as like this, name. So I'll just say here pet underscore id. Now what you can do is that when you are trying, or when you have just downloaded my code, so at that point of time you can remove this, and then by running you can see what name it is going to provide, and then you can tell me in the comments also if you are running this. So one thing is clear, that the name of this column is going to be pet underscore id. Again, this is your choice. Next. Now the next thing is, how will it decide which particular column to be referred for the, primary key there? So how will it come to know that only this ID needs to be referred for the pet and not the name or birth date or gender or something? So you will say that, okay, here only you have written @ID, so it will pick that. Let's see from this also. So here it says there is something like a referenced column name. So as per this referenced column name, by default, it is going to pick the primary key of the other table. So automatically it is going to decide that, okay, it needs to refer this ID of the pet table. And that is the default thing. And that is because of this referenced column name. Again, the complete thing is mentioned here. The name of the column referenced by this foreign key column. Yeah. Now, again, this is a good practice, like by default they are mentioning. But here the point is that sometimes we may forget that, okay, what it is referring, we don't remember. So as a starter point, that whenever we are just starting, so it's better that we just rewrite the whole thing again, and this is going to become even much more readable whenever you are going to revise the things. So here let's call it as id. So now it is very much clear that in this table the name is going to be pet underscore id, and which column it is going to refer, the id column. For which table it is going to refer, pet table. id column of pet table it is going to refer here. Yeah, that's great. Now let's move on with the next part. So do we want this value to be unique? So let's try to think. We want a one-to-one relationship between these two tables. So when you want a one-to-one relationship, you don't want that a particular pet ID should belong to any other owner also. So that means in this owner table, this column also should be unique in nature. So hence we should make it as true. By default it is false. Now you will say that, okay, when you have already mentioned one-to-one mapping, then why is it false here? Like, what is the meaning? The point is the join column is a common annotation. So this annotation will be used by your one-to-many also, many-to-one also, many-to-many also. And in all different scenarios, we are going to decide whether we should keep the unique as true or false. But as per our scenario, we should be keeping this unique as true only. So let's again go back here and call it as unique equals to, and we should be calling it as something like true. So yeah, here it goes. Unique is true here. Now the next one. So after this we say nullable. So again, let's think. We are going to have a one-to-one mapping here. So do you want that at any point of time there should be an owner without a pet or no? So this is completely as per your requirement. Do you want a owner who is not having a pet? And just try to think, it is going to be like, in real it may be a possible. But then what is the purpose of such an owner in our pet repository here? Okay, in our pet scenario here in the Petistan. So there is no point of having an owner without a pet in the Petistan. So hence we want this nullable to be false. So by default it is true, but I'll keep it as false in my scenario. So that's why I was saying you that depending on your scenario, you need to think, do you need which particular value as true or false? So you can decide on your own. And I hope we are making the things more clear. Then they say that, do you want it to be insertable? That whether this column should be always considered in the insert statement. So yes, we want it to be considered there, that whenever any insert statement is going to be generated, it should be there. Updatable, then yes, we want. Column definition we are not going to use, so this is not required for us. It is just required sometimes whenever there is some different kind of data, but for us the things are simple, so we don't need this. Then they say table. So you can also refer to the other table here, But here we don't need to refer the other table because for us it is very simple. We are just calling it as pet. So we don't need to refer the other table name. So that has been removed. Then they say foreign key. So you know that whenever we are creating such a foreign key kind of constraint, our database is going to provide a constraint name also. So if you have just studied the SQL, so there also there is a strategy to give the constraint name. So this is talking about that particular strategy only. Again, we are not interested in providing that constraint name here. So we'll go with the whatever is going to be the default strategy here. So we are happy with that particular constraint name and it doesn't going to matter us anymore. So yeah, that is enough. So here with the join column, we have chosen these 4 parameters. Depending on your requirement, you can decide which one you need. Now the next one is that here when we say one-to-one, let's see what do we have there. So I'll just go here in one-to-one. Now here also it says first of all target entity, the entity name of the other class. Now again it is your wish. If you wish you can provide, otherwise it will directly take from here the pet. So let's not provide this. Now the next one is cascade here. So let's try to understand the terminology for this cascade. So what this cascade says? Let's just read this. It says the operations that must be cascaded to the target of the association. Like, so let's say if you are fetching a particular owner. So do you want the pet also to be fetched? Yes or no? If yes, then you want a cascading. You say that whenever I'm updating a particular, let's say owner, do you want pet also to be updated? The answer is yes. You say that whenever I want to delete the owner, do you want your pet also to be deleted? If yes, then we can go for this particular cascade type. So here we are having all these different options. Like which all operations do you want to cascade? Cascade means whenever an operation will be applied on the owner entity, that is the source entity, in our case owner. Do you want the same operation to be applied on the target entity also, that is pet? So that you can decide by this. So if you will choose all, which means any operation if you will perform on owner, that will automatically happen on pet also. So whenever you will try to update owner, you can update pet also directly. If you will remove owner, your pet also will be removed automatically. If you will fetch owner, your pet also will be fetched automatically. If you will save owner, so the pet details also will be saved automatically. The benefit of it I will tell you later on when we will go for the repository layer. So that is the meaning of all. Then if you say no, I wish to keep it on the persist level, which means you just want to save both of the things together. Rest of the other things, they won't happen together. Then merge relates to the update. This remove is for the delete. Refresh is that this one is related to a bit more with the cache. So we'll talk about later on. And detach it whenever you want to detach it from the entity thing. So that is the one here. Yeah. So currently we want that any operation whenever we perform on the source, we want it to be performed on the target also. So let's go for the all, which is the simplest one. And here also let's see which is the default. So they say that by default no operation will be cascaded. So if you're not going to choose this, then it is not going to cascade any operation. Yeah, but we don't want that. So always choose this. That's the reason that many times you feel that whenever you are going to have two tables, you need two repositories and everything two times, like two repositories, two services. But that's not a case. Many times only a single thing can do your job. And here we need the cascade type. So again, let me just copy it from here. So I'll copy this cascade type. I'll keep it here. I'll say cascade type dot all. So still, if you are not clear with the benefit, you will come to know very soon with the service and the repository layer here. Now going for the next one, let's see what do we have extra besides this in one-to-one. Then we say fetch. So currently the fetch type is eager. Now what is this eager and what is the other fetch type? For this I will tell you in a separate video, which is going to be next one. As of now, let's go for the default fetch type only. Then in the next video I'll tell you what is the difference between the fetch type eager and fetch type lazy, because it's a very important interview question also. Then the next one is optional. So this optional, you can say this is something similar to nullable here. So here you said that I don't want it to be null, which means you always want a value here. So if you always want a value here, then you don't want it to be an optional thing. So you say that whenever there is an owner, there should be a pet. So for you, the optional should be false. So let's again go here and keep it like this. So I'll say false. Again, you will think that, okay, then why do we need this thing? Because it depends from scenario to scenario. There may be a particular scenario where you just want the source thing only and you don't want a target. Sometimes you may want to update the target later on, or maybe you are just having a policy that initially we will allow every owner to be registered and later on they can adopt a pet. So in that case, optional can be false also. But for us, or sorry, for that optional can be true, but for us optional is going to be false, because we want that whenever an owner is going to come here, it should be having a pet. Now the next one is going to be mapped by. So this one is not required on this side. It says it is required on the inverse side, that is the non-owning side. So again, this thing we are going to discuss in the next video, not today. Then the next point is orphan removal. Now what do we mean by orphan removal? I mean, just try to think the literal meaning of the word orphan here. So orphan is the one which is not going to have the parents. Yeah? Now here, the orphan represents that do you want to have an orphan pet? Orphan pet means the one who is not going to have any owner. So let's assume due to some reason you are deleting the owner. So do you want that there should be a pet without an owner? Obviously you don't want. So you don't want a pet without the owner here. So in that case, you can keep this orphan removal as true, that whenever there is a pet without any owner, then remove that also. If you say no, I'm allowing a pet to be available without an owner, then you can consider it as false. Then you may say that, okay, then what is the benefit of this cascade type? Because in cascade also you mentioned that whenever you are going to delete the owner, pet also will be deleted. But now you are saying that, okay, what if only the owner is deleted and not pet? So for this, let me just give you a quick scenario here. Okay, here editing not possible. So let me give just a quick scenario here. So let's say that somehow you fetched the owner from the database. So when you have fetched the owner from the database, so you are getting the owner as well as pet, because you were saying cascade type as all. So when you said that find by owner ID, you got the owner details also as well as the pet details also. Then you did something like this, owner dot set pet, and then you said null. So now you have removed the connection between them. And then you said something like this, that is session dot remove, and then you are going to remove the owner here. So you said something like this. Now what do you think? What will happen? Is it going to delete only the owner, or is it going to remove both the owner and pet? You can pause the video and tell me. Let me just repeat a scenario quickly. So first of all, you fetched the owner. So maybe you just said something like this, session dot find, and here you give the owner ID. So you give this owner ID. Then because your cascade type is all, so it provided you owner as well as pet just because of this. Then you are saying set pet is null, and then you are removing the owner. So for sure owner is deleted. What about pet? Is it deleted or not? So you will say that, okay, you kept nullable as false. So how is it possible to set pet as null? The answer is yes. The nullable is false, but in the database. So in the database it is null, but I'm not saving. I'm just removing the owner after this. So at that point of time, it can be null because currently it is not in the database. So now what should be the scenario? Is it going to remove pet or not? The answer is that in this kind of scenario, and before I tell you, I hope that you will be providing me in the comment section. So the answer is that in this kind of scenario, because you have removed the connection between owner and pet, so now when you are removing the owner, it is not going to delete your pet. Yeah. So this time your cascade all is not going to work. Why cascade all will not work? Because which pet will it delete? You have already removed the pet. So it won't be able to delete any kind of pet here. So for such a scenario, what will happen? The owner is deleted, but pet is still available. So do you want such a pet who is not having any owner? That again depends on the requirement. If yes, then you can keep the owner remove the orphan removal as false if you want such a pet. And if you don't want, then better option is you copy this and you consider it as true. So when I will consider it as true, then what will happen is that after saying it as true, so after removing the owner from here, it will check in the pet table if there exists a pet without the owner. If there exists such a pet without the owner, automatically it will be deleted. Even when you have made a disconnection between them, then also it is going to be deleted. I hope this is clear. When do we need the orphan removal? So that is the case with this, and I hope we are done with this one-to-one class also. So that is also done, and let me remove this logic here. So this has been removed. So now this class is also ready for us, the owner as well as the pet class. And now we are ready to proceed with the next part. So for the next part, what do we need is that since we are having two entity classes, the owner and the pet, so with DTO also we should be having two DTO classes, but currently I'm just having one owner DTO class. So what I'll do is I'll quickly create another pet DTO class also here. So let me just make it like this, pet DTO, something here. If you wish, you can skip this part a bit, like in case if you are not interested, then you can just quickly skip this part. I'll just try to edit these things here, and I will deliberately not skip this particular part because I just want to show you that how this needs to be done. Sometimes people want this particular part also to be shown here, so I'll just show you how easy it is to make the changes. So once you are clear with the scenario, you can do the changes very easily. So yeah, with our pet DTO it is quickly available to us. And now here let me just quickly remove all these things here, and let me again provide. So here I'll go to this particular source, I'll say generate getters and setters, something like this. I'll generate this, and then I'll go again to this one source, and I'll say here toString, and again I want all the things here. So yeah, this one is something available like this. So we are having all these method, get ID, set ID, and all this. Here we need a setter method because we want to set the value in the DTO. So all the values are available in pet DTO. Let's move to owner DTO. So here we don't want all these things, but what we want is we want a particular pet here. So I will just say like this, and here it should point to the pet DTO. So something like this, and you can call it as pet DTO here also. So this one looks good to me, and here let me again remove all these extra getter methods first of all, as well as the toString method. Let me provide here something like this, generate getters and setters, select all. So this is done, and let me quickly provide a toString method. So yeah, this one is also done here. So yeah, everything is now available. So this class is also ready. Here it is pet DTO. So almost it is same. So once you are clear with dividing of the entity class, you can divide other classes also very easily. And here there is no big issue. So this one is clear to us. Now the next thing is that if this one is done, the next particular part is that let's check from the UI how it looks like. So from the UI it will say welcome to Pakistan. It will allow the owner details to be saved. So let's quickly check this one how it looks like. So here we will go for this one, and let's see what do we have here. So here we will just get the owner DTO details. So we are asking it to save the owner. So we will get the owner DTO details to be saved, but we also want the pet details. So I have already made a separate method for this. So let me just uncomment and see, I'm keeping this habit of to do now. So I'll just remove this so that it will keep on reminding me what needs to be removed. Instead of coding the each and everything again, I hope this one is far more better and easy option also. I've just divided the previous method in two parts. So here I'm just taking all the owner details. Here I'm just taking all the pet related details. And here also let me just say here pet type. This looks good to me. Yeah. So it looks something like this, and just save it here. Now we'll go here And what do we do is that here, like we are taking the owner details. So similarly, let's pick the pet details also here. So we will just say accept something like this, pet details to save. And the output we are going to save in this pet DTO here, pet DTO, like this. So again, this we have saved, and let me just quickly import this. So it is done. Now the point is, in the owner DTO, I should be setting the pet DTO. Then only it will be fruitful to me. One option is in the save owner method, you can provide both. But better approach is that since you are getting it from the user, so better to set the things here itself. So we will save it like this, set, and here goes my set pet DTO, and yeah, this is done. So my save method seems to be ready to me. I'll just go here in the save owner. I'll go here, and here I will say that okay. So first of all, I'm saying convert owner entity, owner DTO to entity. I'm passing the owner DTO. So let's go to this one. So here how it looks like. So here it says it will create an owner and it will save all the owner details. So same way I want to have it for the pet also. So for this, since we were having owner and pet separately, so what I did is that I created a separate method for this part also here. So it's your approach, whatever the way you feel the things are going to be much more easier to you, you can go for that particular one, and I'll just made it like this. So I'll just pass a pet DTO here and it will provide me pet. But should I be calling this method from there only? The answer is no, I can directly call it from here. So what I'll do is I'll call this particular one. So here it goes, copy, and not here, I just need to paste it like this, and here I should be saying owner DTO dot, and here let me just say owner DTO dot get pet DTO. Yeah. So this looks like this. So I'm getting a pet here, so it will be providing me a pet which looks like this, and after this I will just need to say here owner dot set, and then I need a pet. So yeah, there goes my pet. So this way you can set the pet. So this is much more easier. From one mapper method you are calling the another mapper method. So this is fine. Now let's go back. So after this we are just going to save the owner. We don't need to worry about the ID because automatically it is going to be generated. So let's see how it looks like. And this is same like the old one. Now you will tell me that okay, you are just saving the owner. Why are you not saving the pet? The answer is that if you remember, you mentioned something here. You said cascade type all. So because of this, now the moment you are going to save your owner, your pet also will be saved automatically. And another interesting part, in the pet also, you see that ID will be generated. So, and this pet ID needs to be referred in the owner table. So what it will do is, first it is going to save your pet with the ID generated, then it will set this ID in your owner and save the owner also. So this way it is going to do the things, and that's the benefit of providing this cascade type all. So many times people forget this and then they feel that okay, they need to save both of the things separately. What they generally do is, first of all they save a pet, they get the pet ID, then with the pet ID they provide it in the owner and then they save the owner. So you don't need to do this, only owner repository will do your job. So here this is ready for me. Now let's go for the next one. So the next one, if we go back to the demo, so here it says the case 2. Now the case 2 is accept owner ID to be operated, and here when I say accept owner to be ID to be operated, I just need an owner ID. Then I'll go here, I'll say find owner, and I'll just go here. So yeah, I'll just try to find the owner. So if it is null, I'll throw the exception that owner not found. Otherwise what I'll do is I'll convert the entity to DTO. So again simple. Now here also when I'm converting, so let me first again go back here and show you this find owner, how this one looks like to me. So again all these are the previous old methods. So again this looks something like this, your find owner. So again you will say that you are just fetching the owner. Where is the pet? The answer is that you have already fetched the pet also when you were saying cascade type all. So pet will also come along with this only. So you don't need to worry. The only thing is that it will be fetched, but whenever you are going to this particular mapper. So here you need to map that particular one also. So in the owner DTO, you need to set something like this. So here you will say set, and then you will say like this pet DTO. And here in this pet DTO, we need something like this pet DTO here. And if that is the case, then obviously we need to fetch this pet DTO from somewhere. So how can we fetch this pet DTO? So for this, again, I have created this particular method. So again, this will look easier to me. What is the purpose of making two methods? Why I'm not doing all these? I mean, these are just, you can see, 5 variables, 5 set of methods. It's easier for me to write here. But the benefit is, in future, if I just need to fetch a pet, I can just reuse this method instead of recreating a new method. So I will try to reuse the method. So this way, you should try to reuse your things as much as possible. So here let's again provide this owner.get. Sometimes if you feel the video is slow, then you can always watch at 2x. My purpose in order to make them slow is so that everyone understand. So I'll make slow. You can watch at any speed, whatever you wish, 1.5 or 1.25 or 2. You can also tell me in the comment section at what speed do you generally watch, so that later on I will try to increase my speed also here. So yeah, this method is also ready to me, looks ready. So I will be providing the owner DTO also. And remember to do this. Otherwise you will feel that okay, it is just providing you the owner details only, not the pet details, if you're not going to save. So that is to be your mistake. And that's the reason every time we provide those toString method, so that in case if you are not getting the output, so you can always print the object here. Yeah, that's the benefit. Let's go for the next one. Next one is this, the update one, I guess. So here let me just verify. Yeah, the next one is update pet details of the owner. So for this one, if you remember, we were used to get a owner ID and the pet name. So pet name is just the same, and then we used to call this update pet details. We used to provide the owner ID and pet name. Here we used to find the owner first of all. So this owner will provide you the pet also. That's the benefit. If owner is not there, throw the error. If owner exists, then update the pet details. So owner ID and pet name. So again we'll go here, and here we are doing this. Now here comes the trick. So this time you cannot set the pet name like this, because you are not having the set pet name method. So instead of it, what you will be doing is that you should be doing it like this. You will say set pet again here, and what you can do is, first of all, from this owner you can fetch the pet. So let's try to fetch the pet. Let's try to do it step by step. So you will say get pet. So when you will say this, and let's try to save it also somewhere. So we'll say this pet here. So we are fetching the pet from this owner. So I will call it like this. And then in this pet, what I'll do is I'll change the name, set name, and that's the pet name. And then again, I will set the pet here. So something like this I can do very easily. So I fetched the owner. It provided me the pet also. Then from this owner, I got the pet like this. Then I'm setting the name, and again I'm setting the pet back to the owner, and then I'm merging the owner. So this way it is not only going to update the owner as well as the pet also. And again, you don't need anything like pet repository here or direct connection with the pet, because the things are easier for you. Now let's move on to the next part, and for this again we'll go back to the input util. So press 4 to delete the owner details. So let's check. So here we are, accept owner ID, and then we are calling this delete owner. So let's go inside it, and here we'll find the owner ID. So again the same thing, it will provide us pet also. If it is null, it will throw the exception, otherwise it will delete the owner, and let's see how it looks like. So again this one is simple. So you're just getting the owner, and then you are removing. So when you do this, because of cascade type, it is going to remove your pet also, because of your cascade type. So you don't need to remove the pet explicitly. But as I mentioned you earlier, What if you do something like this, owner dot set pet? Yeah. So in this case, you are actually removing the pet from your owner first. So if you are doing something like this, then it is not going to delete your pet, because you have removed the connection between pet and owner, and hence you need that particular orphan removal. That for such orphan pets also, they should be removed from the database. Hence it is required. I hope now it is more clear. Otherwise you can just give a try and then you can tell me in the comments whether it is working or not. So yeah, everything looks good here, but what happens is that sometimes there is a new requirement, and the new requirement is that we want to fetch the pet details. Yeah, so let's add this as a new requirement here. Rest of the things are done with this, and if you wish you can directly skip the part and you can see how to run the code. But we'll first of all go for this one. We'll fetch the pet details, and here also let's add it as a menu option. So we'll add the option as 5 here. So here we are. So in this one, and here let's go for this. Yeah, so this is done. So fetch pet details. So now we will go here in the demo and we'll add a new case. So let me just copy paste. I mean, you tell me, are you also lazy like me? Like I'm lazy here. So are you lazy or not? Or you keep on writing everything on your own? Like that is also possible. So let's see if we have any method like this, except pet id to operate. And yeah, I already created that method. So it is just going to accept the pet id. So what we are doing, we are just providing the pet and we wish to fetch the pet details only, not the owner details, only the pet detail I wish to fetch here. That is my goal. So when I want to fetch only the pet details, so I just want this, and let me go for a method like this, find pet, and here also I'll provide the pet id, and here I will say pet has been fetched successfully. Let me call it as p, and here also let me just call it as, like, try to reuse your things as much as possible. That's the point of all this. So we don't have this find pet method, so I'll go to this service, and here what I'll do is that I'll copy this one, find pet, I'll just provide it here, and here I'll just quickly change everything. So I'll call it as pet, and here also I'll just quickly call it as pet, and it should not be returning me owner. Now I just want to return a pet, so the other mapper method is going to be helpful for me here, where I was just having the details of the pet and not the owner. So this is the one, and I want to throw this exception, pet not found. So I have already made it ready. Pet not found exception is there for me. Yeah, so it's simple. So this one is available. Let me just go to this service impl. Let me go here and let me quickly add here. So what I'll do is I'll just go here and I'll say override implement methods and find pet, and yeah, this method looks ready to me now. So this one looks ready, and now you will see the level of laziness here. So I'll just copy this, I'll provide the details here, and I'll just quickly update all these details, like update as much as possible. You see both the methods are same, and from this only you are getting, so that's not an issue. So this is pet, and yeah, so here it pet looks like this pet look like this. Here also this is just a pet here. For this one also let me rename it to pet, and here the error message I want to go for like pet underscore not found. So yeah, that is also ready, pet not found. So the message was already ready with us. I won't show you here, like you can check that on your own. And here also let me quickly make it as pet, and here can we directly convert a pet entity to DTO? The answer is yes, we made something like that earlier itself. So that's the benefit of having separate method. You don't need it explicitly, you can just reuse your methods. So this is done, and here it goes my entity, and yeah, this find pet, so in the repository it's not there. So let me just quickly click here, and see if directly it can create for me. I'm not sure why it is not showing that particular option for me. Earlier it was coming. No issues, we'll create on our own by copying. So I'll copy this and I'll go here and I'll just quickly update this also as pet. This also I'll update as pet, and this one also I'll update as pet. So this one is again ready for me here. So yeah, your owner repository is ready. You will go to the owner repository IMPL, and here let's create the method again. And you know very well that how much things we are going to do in this method. We'll try to copy as much as possible from this find owner method. So let's copy this out. Let's provide it here. Here open session obviously we will be doing. Here I'll just provide pet, and here I'll just say this pet here. And yeah, this one is also going to be ready for me. Still there is an issue. Let's see what it is. So I guess yeah, that was not an issue. So now it is ready for me. So now we are having one more method, and that is going to provide me pet only. Yeah. Why only pet and not the owner? Because I'm just getting the pet detail, and then there is no other way that from pet you can get the owner. So this it is going to provide me. Now here everything looks good. Just a one simple issue. Simple issue is that here if you see in this method of owner repository IMPL, just see that it is completely working with your pet table only. It has nothing to do with the owner. It is, you are just providing a pet ID and you are just fetching a pet. So what do you feel? It is like, do you find it better to write it in the owner repository IMPL? My personal belief is that since we are just working with the pet, so instead of writing it here, let's have a separate pet repository IMPL. So let's create it separately. So I'll copy this, or let me just close all. So what I'll do is I'll copy this, I'll paste it here, and let me call it as pet repository IMPL. Like now I feel it is better to go for a separate class when I just need. For the other operations I didn't did when I need to save and do other things, but for this operation I'm doing, because now I'm just working with the pet, nothing to do with the owner. So I'm writing it like this. Then same I should be writing here a pet repository, and yeah, then it looks like this. Then for this also we'll make a copy. So yeah, I mean really I guess you will see any trainer who will ask you to copy and paste and not to rewrite the things on your own. Yeah, but it's always better to copy paste. Like in the real world also, most of the times whenever we are having the things ready with us, we should not reinvent the wheel, as they say. We should try to reuse as much as possible. So pet repository is available with us, and here goes the find pet. I hope there is no mistake. Yeah, find pet, it looks fine to me. Then why is it telling me there is an error? So find pet is must override. So where is the mistake? It looks good. Pet repository, find pet, finding the pet ID, returning the pet. So isn't it okay? I forgot to import, so that was the issue. Silly. So yeah, this is done. So this is also done for us. Now the issue is that this pet repository is not in usage as of now. We need to use this. So for this, shouldn't we go for a separate service also? I hope that is far more better instead of just writing the things here. So let's do that very quickly. So here we'll go, and again we'll go here in the pet service IMPL. Okay, good. So there we are. And here also let's remove all these extra methods which are not needed. So there we are. And here let me point it to the pet. Here let me again point it to the pet. And here also let me point it to this particular pet. And here also let me just quickly point it to this particular pet. Yeah, this is the one. And do we need this pet repository MPL? Yes, we obviously need this. And here also I just need to call it as pet. This is the one. Now here, do we need this owner not found? No, we don't need this variable here, so let's remove it. And here, Yeah, this is the one. So this is also done, pet service impl, and here let's try to go for this pet service, something like this. Now they say pet service is not available. Why? So let's quickly create this. So we'll go here and let me make this pet service also. So yeah, this pet service is also ready to me, and I don't need to do anything extra besides just updating it like this. Pet service is ready, and this is also ready. The mistake is I again forgot to import, so the import is also ready. Control Shift O, Control Shift F. So everything looks fine. This is the one, yeah. And in the owner service IMPL, I guess we don't need this method here. So from the owner repository also we forgot to remove, so we'll do that too. So let's remove all these extra things which we don't need anymore in these. So this we have done. Here also let's remove anything which is extra. We don't need these extra topics, and basically yeah, this is also not needed. So again, this one is good, and I guess I have missed in the repository MPL. So you should be telling me regularly what I have missed and what not. So let me just do it here also, and yeah, this is also done. So it's also removed, and this is also ready. So both of the classes are ready. Now what is missing? The missing part is that here we need to refer to that particular pet also, that is the pet service. So let's do that also quickly. So here this is pet, and now I'm a bit more lazy, so let me just copy this here, and let me just copy this here. Let me make this p smaller. This one looks better now. I'm having everything ready with me. I don't need this to do also. So it's always better to remove all those extra things. And why are we not using this pet service? So copy, and let me just go here and paste it. So find pet, yeah, everything is ready. Perfect. So we have entity classes, we have DTO and exceptions and service and everything. Why we made a separate class? Just for this method. Otherwise it's not needed. Most of the things will be done here. And if we are ready, then let's see here if we have anything. So yeah, here nothing is missing. Okay, so let's go and run, and before that let's quickly see. So as you can see, this is empty. So let's go back here and let's run this from here. So when we are running, so we see there is an exception here. Things are not working. And why it is not working? It says owner repository IMPL. There was an issue in this particular owner repository. So there was an issue here in the session factory. Why there was? And it says the association of the owner.pet targets an unknown entity named entity pet. So it says that this entity is not known. But why it is the case? We have already created the entity. As you see, everything is there, entity, pet table and everything. So why it says the entity is not there? Because remember, how will it come to know which all entities needs to be created? Somewhere we must have configured something. Where is that configuration? Here it goes, database.config. In the database.config, if you remember, we mentioned like this at annotated class. This is something I guess I mentioned in the very first video when we were creating this particular Hibernate only, that is in this demo one. So there wasn't anything much in this demo one, so there I just explained you all these things in detail, and that is something which we missed here. So what we need to do is, whenever you make a new entity class, here also in the configuration you should be adding that something like this. So you just need to add it and say here pet. So whenever there is a new entity class, always add it here so that it understands. So besides @entity, this is also very important. Otherwise we will always make a mistake. So I hope we have done this, and let me just see. Okay, nothing is created obviously, and here let's go again and see. So now let's see what is the issue. Okay, there seems no issue as of now and it looks good. So what it did is, first of all, it created the owner table, something like this, auto incremented and everything. Let's go till the end where it looks like, okay, so pet id it is taking as integer. So you see we mentioned that pet id to be as something like a pet data type. So here we mentioned it as a pet data type, but it automatically took integer. Why? Because in the pet table it is integer and it is not null, and those are the things. Then it also created a pet table which is again auto increment, and all these things are available to us, something like this primary key, and these are the things. Then in terms of table, if you see, it has actually created two tables for us. So this is your owner table where we are having id as primary key, auto increment, email IDs are there, then mobile number and email ID are not null unique, and the pet ID. So why it is highlighting pet ID? Because it is your foreign key. And then in the pet table, your ID is again your primary key and it's a separate table. And if I click, then it looks like this. Let me increase the size. So yeah, it looks better. And for the pet, let me just again increase the size. I obviously can't increase size of this particular pet, but yeah, these things are ready for me, owner table and the pet table. Now let's add the data. That's the final thing left. So let's quickly add the data here. What we will do is, instead of this, let me just go here. I'm having this data.sql ready with me, so I'll just say open with text editor, and you see it's there with me. So first of all, obviously pet I need to add, so this particular script I'll just copy, and in the second table I'm mentioning the pet ID, okay, because it is required, otherwise how will I keep it? So copy, and I'll just provide it here, something like this. I mean, that's the reason I didn't added one on my own, because here I'm already using the ID as 1. So let's click on this. So it says 72 rows have been affected. So in the owner table, let's see how it looks like. So when we run, it looks like this. So it has created 72 owners and these are the pet IDs. And then in the pet table, it looks something like this. So from the pet table, there is no way to go to the owner, but from the owner, you can always come to the pet table with the help of this pet underscore ID. Now, if you wish, you can, create a new owner also from here, or instead of running all the things, what I'll just do is I'll just show you this fetch part. So 2, and then we'll say owner. So let me just give like 2 and see. So for the ID 2, we have first name is Jen, last name is Smith, gender and everything came, and even we are getting the pet detail. Why it is coming like this? Because it's a separate object. So one toString method has been invoked in other toString method. So it looks like this. And how your select query looks like. So let me just go at the end of this. So it says from owner table and there is a joining. So you see it has actually joined. So we were just provided the owner ID, but automatically it provided a join on these two tables on the basis of the pet ID, and we were able to fetch. And for this we didn't wrote any extra code, only cascade all was there. Also let's try to update the name because that is also simpler. So I'll say this 3 and ID 2 only, let's do for this. So update the pet name. So currently the pet name is something like Max. Okay, so let's call it as Min. The reverse of Max is Min. So what it says, so see 3 queries have been executed. Now this first query, because let's try to understand how it worked. So first of all, it went here in this particular one, and whenever you update it, first of all it tried to find out the owner. So that it did, it find out the owner and it gave you the data and it says yes, it is available. Then it went in the update pet details method in this one. So then again when you said this, so again first of all you are saying get, so again this select query worked and that's with the join, and when you say this merge, so it updated only the pet table because it automatically knew that only the pet data has been updated. If you are also updating some owner details also here, if you are changing that, then it will update your owner table also. So only that particular thing has been done, and let's have a proof here. So I'll say y, and let me say here 2 again, let me say 2 again, and let's see whether the name is min or max. So now you see the name is min here, that is minimum. Yeah, so that is done. Same way, if you wish, you can delete also, but I won't show you that one. And let me directly show you this last option. So again, I'll say y, and I'll say 5. Now I just want to fetch the pet details, so I'll say 2. So it is just showing you the pet details, id, to, min, and this, because when you are fetching with the owner pet, only the pet details are going to appear. Now before closing, just one interesting part I want to show you. Okay, and that is something a bonus part. Otherwise everything has been completed for this. If you wish, you can just drop from the video. Otherwise, if you wish, you can see the bonus part. Now the bonus part is, in the pet details, this method became actually little bit big. Delete was simple, save was simple, find was simple, update became a little big, because here first of all we fetched the owner, then we are getting the pet, we are saving it here, then we are setting the name, and then we are again setting the pet here. Now let's see, why did you use this? Because you want to use the variable here. So what if I just do something like this, get pet, like this, then I don't need this, because with the get pet it provided me the pet, and then I directly set the set name. So this worked for me. Now you will say that okay, here it is missing, but just think, is there any direct change in the pet? So directly there was no change in the pet as such, and even when you executed your query, this also came to know that there is no direct change in the pet. There is a change only in the pet table related with that particular pet, not the pet. So there is no need of setting the pet again, because you are only changing the name. Now you will say that how will it come to know? Because that is something, the magic of your persistence context. We will talk about the persistence context in some video, but after almost like 5-6 videos later we will talk about this. Before this, I shown you one more interesting magic, that when you just say this persist and you try to print the owner ID, it will automatically provide you the generated owner ID without getting any output here. And now I'm showing you this magic. Now you see, again I'm not setting the pet as such, but let's rerun the code. So let's run it again, and after this what we will do is we'll go to the pet details. Let's go for enter ID of the owner, so I'll say 2 here, and let me name it as Polo, something like this. And yeah, again only 3 queries got executed like before. Again let's say y, and let's fetch the details of 2. So now if everything looks better, it should be calling it as Polo. So the name got updated, because everything was working within the persistence context, and that's the magic. And if you like this magic, then I guess that you know what needs to be done here. So you need to like the video, you need to subscribe to the channel, you need to share with your friends, and yeah, that is something which you need to do. And just keep supporting, also keep on telling me in the comments whether did you like the things or not. And thanks everyone, see you in the next video. Bye bye.